Welcome back to Efficient Fillings Mastery. Today we're tackling a crucial and sometimes controversial topic: setting your filing fees for maximum profit and making the procedure truly rewarding. If you have control over your fees, which technically we all do, this part might seem easy. That said, I'm not going to ignore the reality that many of our offices are in network with insurances, and we're not planning on dropping them anytime soon. If you do have control over your fees, you can make fillings enjoyable simply by ensuring you're compensated appropriately. With control over your fees, you can minimize some of the other changes you'd need to make in your workflow and simply adjust the fees to a reasonable level that makes sense for your practice and skill. Of course, if you don't have direct control over your fees because of contracts, then you'll need to focus more on optimizing the diagnostic, scheduling, and treatment aspects of the process, which we'll cover in detail later. Some of you may be in an office or a situation where you feel like you have very little control over the fees because of state health plans, restrictive PPOs, or other heavily contracted fee schedules. You might think there's just no way to make fillings profitable and rewarding in your environment. I totally get it. I have owned practices in that category and worked in practices like that before. So if that's your situation, then maybe there's another angle or perspective that we need to take on this. To help put this into perspective, I'm sure you'd all agree that there are varying levels of quality materials and techniques that you could use when doing a filling. You can do something quickly with good but maybe not great materials, or you can turn a dental filling into as much of an art piece as you want, using the absolute best materials and taking meticulous care. One of the first issues I often see is that dentists provide a level of quality that simply doesn't match the fees they're receiving for that procedure. We obviously will always operate at least at the standard of care, but many dentists seem to live in this strange, magical world where they were taught in dental school to believe that they must provide the exact same level of dentistry using the exact same materials and time to a Medicaid patient at Medicaid fees, a PPO patient at deeply discounted and network fees, and a fee-for-service patient at top-tier fees. This is frankly ridiculous, and it doesn't exist anywhere else in the world. No other business operates this way. So if you're getting paid $50 for something, are you really supposed to do the exact same work using the exact same resources as if someone was paying you $500? Does that make logical sense to anyone? Can we please get rid of this notion that we have to provide the absolute best possible outcome for everyone, regardless of the fees involved? Now, don't get me wrong. Don't start messaging me complaining or getting mad thinking I'm saying it's okay to do bad dental care. I have never done bad dental care and would never allow any dentist I work with to provide substandard care. However, we have to be realistic and use our brains. I firmly believe that if someone pays $500 for something, they should get more value, perhaps through better materials, more time, or enhanced aesthetics, than someone who pays $250 for the same coded procedure. Call me crazy, but that seems like common sense. Getting back to the point, I see many dentists operating at a level of care far beyond the necessary standard of care while accepting significantly lower fee schedules. If you want to consistently provide that absolute top-tier artistic level of dentistry with the best materials on every single filling, then go ahead and build a fee-for-service practice where you can charge accordingly. But to enjoy fillings again and be successful in a typical insurance-driven practice, you have to deliver a product that logically matches the fee you're receiving. I believe that the techniques and materials you choose should vary depending on how much the patient or their plan is paying. We cannot let the lies sold to us by insurance companies and sometimes even perpetuated in the dental schools continue. You cannot come into my business, demand that I accept half my standard fee, and then expect me to deliver everything exactly as perfectly or with the same high-end materials as somebody paying me full price. We often hear phrases like, "That isn't moral." Well, no, this isn't a moral decision. This is a business decision rooted in sustainability and fairness. Again, we're not talking about providing substandard care. I'm saying that to regain control of dentistry and its value proposition, we have to consider creating two different product levels, perhaps an in-network PPO product and a fee-for-service or premium product. If you lump them all together and provide the exact same premium service for drastically different fees, you inherently allow insurance companies to devalue your dentistry. This is exactly what's turning dentistry into a commodity. By accepting this premise that we are letting insurance companies turn highly skilled dentists into interchangeable commodities. That's ridiculous. We have two different options to potentially regain control of dentistry. One is that we could somehow band together and get out of network with all the restrictive insurances in the country. Realistically, what are the odds of this happening? The odds that we can get dentists to organize to that degree? Probably not going to happen anytime soon. The other option is that in all of our practices across the country, we consciously create two different tiers for common procedures. If insurance plans require us to accept 40% less than our standard fees for a filling, then guess what? We are going to create a basic filling protocol, meeting the standard of care, using reliable but perhaps less aesthetic or durable materials, and then we will create a standard and then a premium filling protocol, using the materials and techniques we choose. We will set the fees for those premium procedures at what we determine its fair value. We will use the materials and labs that we prefer for optimal outcomes. This premium service will be done in a high quality and effective manner. If materials and processes change with our standard or premium products, we will adjust the fees accordingly and maintain control of our margins of our business. If patients don't want to pay the difference for the premium option, that's okay. They can have our basic procedures, which meet the standard of care. Maybe they don't have the same longevity warranties. They still do a good job functionally, but perhaps nothing extraordinary aesthetically. If the crown aesthetics aren't perfect on the basic option, well, they chose the basic one. They could have chosen the premium one where the insurance company doesn't control us and force us to use the cheapest materials or labs out there. Insurances cannot control the options we give to our patients. When you sign an in-network contract, you agree to provide a standard of care procedure with adequate materials for contracted fees. But they cannot control if you offer patients an additional premium or uprated product for an additional fee, should the patient choose that. Guess what? If the insurance company allows you higher fees through a better plan, then maybe that plan covers your premium products. If not, their insurance might only cover your basic products. If every dentist across the country started offering tiered options like this and clearly communicating to their patients that the specific insurance plan only covers basic procedures, but premium options are available, people would start complaining to their employers and insurance companies. They'd ask why their plan doesn't cover good dentistry. Over time, insurances would likely try to fight this, but legally, they probably can't. They cannot prevent us from offering additional non-covered premium services to our patients if the patient chooses to pay the difference. When tiered options become more commonplace, we might actually see insurances start to allow higher fee schedules to cover better services. If not, at least this approach sets expectations appropriately with the patients. If the work isn't aesthetically perfect or doesn't last as long as they hoped, and they chose the basic option, then you can remind them, well, you chose the basic option covered by your plan. The problem now is that everyone comes in expecting the absolute best, but many are only paying through their insurance for the basic level. The dentist gets caught in the middle, absorbing the difference in cost and effort, and it's only going to get worse. This same commoditization of dental procedures is why DSOs have gained such a strong foothold. If all procedures are perceived as identical, regardless of fee, then why does it matter where you go? We need to make it matter where patients go by differentiating the value we provide. Okay, enough with that rant for now. Let's get back to the topic at hand regarding your filling fees and approach. So now that you've got this concept of tiered value in your head, hopefully it will help you. It allows you to be more flexible with the techniques you choose, the burrs you use, and the materials you work with, aligning them with the compensation received. We need to deliver a great product that meets the standard of care, but ideally one that corresponds logically with the fees that are being paid. You should get comfortable saying things like, your insurance is great. It covers our basic filling materials, but it doesn't cover the premium materials we also offer. We'll talk about this more in the future, but don't be afraid to potentially have additional price points or options. If you can offer something better, perhaps more aesthetic, more durable, requiring more chair time, let the patient know. Explain that their insurance only covers the basics, which are fine and meet the standard of care, but you also have something better that they can choose if they value that higher level. Many dentists struggle with the situation we've been put into. They ask themselves, do I use the expensive material because it gives me a better result? Well, I just can't afford that on this fee schedule, so it just isn't possible to use that material routinely. The numbers just don't work. The insurances have effectively shackled you into a position where you feel you can't always do the type of dentistry you ideally want to do because it's not financially viable. You feel forced to do it in a way that the business can survive, which might involve using materials or techniques that are of a lower quality than you are capable of providing. That's a quick way to get burned out and hate the profession, being constantly forced to do work that feels worse than what you are capable of. You might think you don't have the option because you are locked into a PPO contract. That thinking is, in my opinion, completely ridiculous. You do have options in how you structure your offerings. Hopefully this has got you thinking about fees and value a little differently, or maybe more deeply than you have before. While this might seem like a bit of a tangent from just doing fillings, it actually is critically important to discuss this before you start figuring out exactly what type of materials you're going to use routinely, how long it's going to take to do certain steps, and how you are going to approach dental filling as a basic philosophy. Before you can figure out the how, we need to agree on the what and why based on the value exchange. And we must all agree we are going to operate above the standard of care always. So please watch the next video because I'm going to start going through the standard of care in detail. Let's work together to make dentistry more fun, rewarding, and fulfilling. Don't forget to subscribe and stay tuned for more.